Hi everyone, my name is Matthew Carr, and today we'll be discussing the issue of overfishing. Overfishing completely alters environments and even destroys certain ecosystems in our oceans and rivers, and it is becoming a real issue in today's society and in the fisheries world. So first we'll look at the other side and see what fishermen and commercial fishermen have to say about this issue, and then we'll dive into how it is endangering certain species, and then we will talk about biodiversity and how it is completely altering the biodiversity of oceans, and then after that we'll discuss how it is destroying coral reefs. So first of all, the other side. Pretty much politicians and business owners want money, and fish bring in money, whether they're selling fish to be made in fertilizer, they're selling fish to markets to be sold for food, anything like that, they just want the money out of it. So Jim Hutchinson, an executive editor of the Fisherman magazine, said that East Coast fishermen in the United States think this data that we are providing is faulty and that people are just wanting to shut down their fishery businesses. And even if this is true, the amount of fish they're bringing out of the water is just an uneven thinkable number. And if they keep doing it, they're not going to have a job anymore. They're not going to be able to make money off the fish because there won't be any more fish. And then next, we'll look at endangerment and extinction. So Paul Greenberg, who's a best-selling author, he said the Connecticut River salmon went from laying millions of eggs in that river to now it's 0. And that is a big issue because those salmon provided food for bears. Many smaller fish eat eggs of bigger fish, so that just completely changes that environment and different fishes and animals' diets. And then next, Elizabeth Colbert, who is a journalist and commentator, said that the predatory fish numbers have dropped by 90%, which is a huge issue. As you can see here, all of these sharks that are dead on the land. Many sharks are killed for shark fin soup, which is a delicacy in Asia, I believe. And the thing about shark fin soup that these sharks are killed for, you take the shark fin out of the soup. It is decoration. You do not eat the shark fin. So basically these sharks are being killed for no reason at all, and they're just being left for dead. And also many sharks and predatory fish are killed because the fear that we have. We fear sharks, at least a bunch of us do. So many people who are out on the water, if they see a shark, they're going to kill it because they think they're protecting us. But in reality, they're altering our ecosystems because this predatory fish controls the population of animals. And without them, many animals not thrive, but they would increase their population to a point where they couldn't find food anymore. And overall, it would just drop their population even lower. They would have that quick rise, but then also a quick fall. Next is biodiversity. Author of On Earth, Ben Carmichael, said diversity gives oceans the strength to recover from situations. So biodiversity, say there is a disease that gets in the ocean and hurts fish or coral reefs. Biodiversity helps. It also helps when overfishing occurs, because this is what you want right here. You want all these different fish species to be out in the oceans, because all of these different species have a certain role they play in their ecosystem. And even if you take one of these out, it's going to alter that ecosystem, because without the job they're doing, say you fish out every single fish that eats algae in a coral reef. Well, algae is going to start growing at uncontrollable rates on these reefs, and it's going to end up killing all of the coral. And that is just completely game-changing in a coral reef because these fish depend on those for homes. And then in an article by the Marine Bioconservation Society, biodiversity brings functions like producing organic materials, controlling pests, and even it helps regulate temperature and climate. So without all this diversity in the water, you're not going to have those things. So pests are going to go out of control, the temperatures could rise or fall, and it can just completely change how things work in oceans. Last of all, we're going to talk about how overfishing is completely destroying coral reefs. So according to the Coral Reef Alliance, 55% of coral reefs are being affected by overfishing. So over half the world's coral reefs are being fished on and overfished on, when these beautiful coral reefs should be protected in some way, because the amount of life they bring is just incredible. The National Ocean Service says that unsustainable fishing can lead to the depletion of certain key species that keep these reefs alive. As you see in this picture, this is a thriving coral reef. There's fish all up here. You might not be able to see because there's a little bit of glare. There's fish all over. And each of those fish play a key role. And even if you take one of them out, it's going to change, like I said before. It kind of links into that idea of biodiversity. So if you lose those fish from unsustainable fishing, this coral reef is going to go from this to this, a barren wasteland with nothing living there. So to conclude, what can be done to save the fish of our planet? Well, first of all, we need harsher regulations to be put in place. We need limits on certain fish, because a lot of those smaller fish, like sardines and stuff, there's no regulations. And a lot of those fish are used for fertilizer and stuff, and we just need to put regulations on them to save those fish. Next, we need marine safe zones. So think of a national park on land like we have here in the United States. Think of that, but in water. There's already many of them, like there's one in the Everglades, and there's even some on the East Coast and West Coast, and even around Hawaii, I'm pretty sure. But these safe zones, it has been shown that these fish are thriving in those areas and are able to get their numbers back up without the fishing being involved. So that's all I have to say about the effects of overfishing and what we can do to save it. Just make sure when you do go buy fish or anything, just make sure it comes from the right people and it's not people who are out on commercial ships who are just completely destroying our environment. Thank you so much for watching.